All right, welcome. So I am here today with Rishi from Clover, Tristan from PagerDuty, and Kendall from Fairwinds. And we're here to talk about Kubernetes. We're here to talk about PagerDuty technology, Fairwinds technology, and how we're all working together. So thank you all for joining me. So I first want to start off with asking, tell me a little bit about your role and what you do with Kubernetes and about your organization. So Tristan, do you want to kick it off?
Sure. So I'm engineering manager for the SRE platform team at PagerDuty. SRE platform team is responsible for the implementation of Kubernetes. We deliver Kubernetes-based platforms so that our engineering teams can focus on building features. They don't have to worry about all the complexities of the underlying infrastructure.
So, Rishi, how about you?
Thanks. Rishi Malik. I run platform engineering at Clover Network. We are a point of sale company that makes it easy for small to medium businesses to run their business. We do a lot with Kubernetes, and it's really the foundation for our next generation platform. Similar to what Tristan said, it's a way to equip our application teams to build and run quickly and get rid of a lot of the complexity that they've kind of had to deal with traditionally.
Awesome. And Kendall, you're up next.
So I'm Kendall from Fairwinds, and Fairwinds has been in the Kubernetes space for about 7 years. That can't be quite that long, 6.5 years, and building and maintaining infrastructure for lots and lots of people for a long time. And today we develop software to put guardrails around that. As Kubernetes becomes more accessible, standing it up is no longer the hard part. It seems like everybody can do that. It's once it's stood up that everybody finds they're in trouble. And so trying to put guardrails around it, best practices for security, efficiency, and reliability is where Fairwinds plays.
Awesome. So now just want to ask a few questions and get anyone to jump in and take, answer, and let's have a discussion. So the first thing is around what are the kind of things you need to monitor in Kubernetes and what do you need to be alerted on?
So for us, we monitor everything. We get alerted on quite a bit, but more specifically, we have kind of 3 different aspects to this, what we care about. You have the traditional infrastructure side of monitoring, which our platform teams are mostly getting alerted on. We have the application side, which is specific to what each individual team is doing on the platform, and what makes sense for them to be alerted on based on their customer experience. The third piece, though, is actually what we do with Fairwinds, and that's really the scale side of things. We have some of the application performance type of learning that we get through Fairwinds, but one of the big things that we actually care about is cost. A big part of what we've done by moving to Kubernetes, by integrating Fairwinds, by tying that into our PagerDuty setup, is really geared around self-service for all of our application teams. But from that's great from the engineering side because they're quick, they can run fast, they don't get bottlenecked on platform teams. But fundamentally, it's actually a shift in how we do business. And so for us to be able to say this application team, this service, this product feature has a specific cost and put a learning around that is what helps us to know what we're doing in this business and where we need to focus and where we need to change what our investments are.
Awesome.
Yeah, one of the big things that we monitor on is important to kind of solve at an organizational level are things like security and compliance requirements, standards that we have to have in place for every team. We don't necessarily want teams to have to know about that, but we want to make it easy to do the right thing without blocking them. So we use insights and admission controllers and a lot of the reporting just to kind of manage all of that on our end. And then even do the entire life cycle through to PagerDuty and alert teams if they're doing something that's out of what we're supposed to be doing.
And I want to add, Tristan, thank you for doing that, because as a PagerDuty customer, I'm glad to know that y'all are, keeping that locked down and are being tuned into things like security alerts, et cetera. That's a lot of what we spend time on too, is where are there deprecated APIs, where are there out of date add-ons, those kinds of things to make sure we're staying up to date. So much of security problems come from just running an outdated version of something that you didn't even know was there. And so that's a big part of it, but for us. But I'm really pleased to hear both of those things from both of you, and really a hearty thank you, Tristan, for making your product secure as a person who relies heavily on it.
Well, and I think that's important. So Fairwinds is a customer of PagerDuty. PagerDuty is a customer of Fairwinds. And then we have Rishi from Clover, who has, works with both PagerDuty and Fairwinds. So it's kind of a tight group of people here who are able to comment about all the different technologies and how they're helping everyone do business. It's pretty cool. So I guess my next question, and Rishi, this is for you, is kind of what are the features that you really like in Fairwinds Insights and in PagerDuty, and how they work together?
Sure. So for me, it's all about that concept of self-service and equipping teams, application teams, to be able to own their own destiny. With Fairwinds in specific, we got the cost analysis, we get the security alerts, we get honestly, one of the biggest things we get is actually that pane of glass, that dashboard that is easy for our application teams to be able to see what's going on, to log in and have something there, versus using some of the more complex tools the platform teams are typically more familiar with, that you'd have to dive into to make all that happen. That ease of use, that reducing friction is been absolutely key for us. Because it's a lot, as the industry has kind of shifted to put onto application teams who don't necessarily have the same level of experience that Tristan or I may have on the platform side. So Fairwinds really makes that easy and accessible. It's actually very similar on the PagerDuty side. Certainly we get the value of the basic alerting and paging and that kind of thing. But the biggest things that we see the largest value add out of is stuff like deduplication, where a team may have 10, 20, hundreds of servers, and then we see something happen at a aggregate level. A cloud provider has an issue with some aspect of their service, so it sets off alerts on every single instance. That deduplication is huge, because that's something we used to have to manage in the past. It took time and it took effort, and it wasn't a great solution, but we get that with our PagerDuty integration. We also again get more of that self-service aspect, where teams can define their escalation policies, and our platform teams have one that's super dialed in and tight, and application teams are also able to set what makes sense, again, for them and their customers. And for that stuff that isn't as critical, we can escalate differently than everyone else. But we get the visibility, and to be able to say everyone has an escalation policy, everyone has a bare minimum escalation policy that we need, and then equip the teams to let them do whatever else they need on top. So it really just has come back to that self-service idea. And both these tools really help us drive that across the organization.
That's great. And I love that echoes, Tristan, to your point about you putting guardrails in place, and the team doesn't even have to, your developers don't even need to know that there's guardrails in place, because people are self-servicing, and because they're able to use both technologies of Insights and PagerDuty to get the job done faster.
Yeah, we practice a full service ownership model here, but we realize that doesn't mean that you have to understand everything. You just need to ship and own your thing. And if we can use tools like Fairwinds and PagerDuty, of course, to just make all of that simpler, so they don't have to worry about those other things, then that's just great. People can have focus on the important things.
And I mean, yeah, I would add to that. I think that service ownership in modern DevOps world felt like a pipe dream until things like Heroku came along, and people don't understand all the bits happening underneath Heroku. They don't need to. Heroku is the tool that enables a developer to push a button and ship through to production, right? And now today, everybody's out building their own version of that, usually increasingly with Kubernetes. But yeah, you don't want to have to educate all of your developers on all the things Kubernetes. Instead, you want to be able to, put the bumpers up on the bowling lane, so that they don't have to be very good at avoiding the gutters. They can just throw the ball down and know they're going to hit some pins. That's a terrible analogy. I tried really hard.
Well, and I think the point there is that you could have your developers spending time becoming experts on Kubernetes, but it takes away from the value you're providing from your product and your application. So it's that balance of, we need you to do the right things in this, but we don't need every one of you to be a Kubernetes expert, because Kubernetes is complex. So cool. I think we have asked a lot of the questions that I wanted to cover in this video. So I'd welcome any of you to jump in and make any comments.
Well, I have a question, but you were going to say something first, Rishi.
I mean, I can always opine. That's just part of who I am.
One of the things that, keep opining.
What I love about this this shift, right? You call it shift left, you can call it self-service, whatever it may be. Is the fact that we're bringing, I'll call it developer empathy more to the forefront. Kendall, you mentioned Heroku, and yes, they made it simple, they made it easy, but like fundamentally what they did was they made it friendly, they made it nice, and it was concern of the developer team's experience to ship code that I think was really kind of one of the driving factors. As things have gotten more complex, as cloud migrations have happened, I feel like we've lost that a little bit. We're trying to get back to it with equipping teams to run faster, because that is how most engineering organizations have figured out that's how you can scale. You want to be able to hire engineers that are working on the revenue side of what you're doing. But I love that, we can have this conversation and bring in tools and talk about how we can make life better for developers. Yes, by extension, that makes life better for us as a business, but it really is, it's that ease of use, it's that empathy. You're under pressure as an engineer to deliver product, to deliver features, to get, to ship code. Let's not just make it, super hard and super complex, or even as old school as it used to be. Let's make it modern. Let's make it easy, and remember that you're driving a lot of value for the business. Let's do what we can to help you out. I love that aspect of all of this.
Yeah, and go ahead, Tristan.
To add to that, I just want to say how nicely like Fairwinds slots into that mindset too. We looked at what it would have taken us to build all of these features out ourselves, patching together various tools and products and open source things and all of our glue code. We would have spent our entire budget and roadmap for this project, running Kubernetes and future infrastructure and everything on just doing that versus plugging insights in and being able to just take care of that without too much effort.
That's a soundbite awesome. I can take and ship right there, Tristan. I think what's interesting about it, I made the comment, a thank you to Tristan for making your product secure and such, but it occurs to me too, I am often using a Clover point of sale. So having that be secure as well is a significant, if anything, probably has more direct effect on me in some ways, but there's, I think to the point about shift left, like at any kind of size and scale, it's just simply impossible for a platform team to maintain security or any kind of standard alone. And so when you have tools that push that left so that the service owners are actually aware of, stopped by, guardrailed with, kept up to date, whatever all the words are, so that things get shipped through, and it's not just this core group of platform people or DevOps or SRE or whatever the organization's calling them that's responsible for all the bits, that's a big deal. And I think it really is impossible at scale without that. But
I think we've hit across a lot of good things today around making the developers ship applications faster. We're arming them with the tools they need to, be compliant, be secure, use Kubernetes. All of those things are really great. And it's, the technology that PagerDuty is providing, as well as insights together, that is really making a difference at organizations. So thank you all for joining.